Please use the sidebar chat during the meeting to submit any questions that you might have. And then we'll answer the questions at the end of the meeting if we're able to. And if it takes a little bit more research to answer your question, we'll either do it by addenda or a question and answer. Next slide. So today's agenda includes introductions of the main persons that are involved with this solicitation and a project description. You'll hear about the rest break ordinance and professional services contracting, as well as the occupational health and safety requirements and the MBE, WBE requirements, and also the requirements for bidding and contracting. Next slide. The project manager for this solicitation is Jennifer Newell with Capital Delivery Services, and she'll be assisted by Oscar Coronado, also with Capital Delivery Services. The project designers are Greg Calkins with BGE Inc. and Sharif Mabrouk with HDR Inc. The project sponsors are Anna Martin with Transportation Public Works, Glenn Taffender with Watershed Protection, and Luke Tilbury with Austin Water. The Austin SMBR representative for this project is Ruby Villanueva Kellogg. And the occupational health and safety representative is Chase Cullen. I'm your Austin Financial Services representative. And then our wage compliance representative is Gabriel Stan. Next slide, please. Jennifer?
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Newell. I'm the city project manager with Capital Delivery Services for this project, and I'll be giving a little bit of project overview. Next slide, please. So this work, summary of work, consists of approximately 1.5 miles of corridor mobility improvements on South Lamar Boulevard from US 290 to Montclair Street. This includes removal of existing sidewalk, removal of existing curb and gutter, installation of new curb and gutter closer to the center line of the road, construction of ADA compliant shared use paths, sidewalks, bike lanes and ramps, mill and overlay portions of the roadway, traffic signal improvements, relocation of bus stops, construction of new bus stops, storm drain improvements, water and wastewater line improvements, streetscape improvements, landscape improvements, tree plantings, planting zones, irrigation, rain gardens, signing and striping, and intermediate median construction. Next slide, please. So I've put this in here just to kind of clarify that the plan set that you'll see in the bid documents does have 2 volumes associated with it. So at the beginning of the plan set, you'll see volume 1, which is labeled South Lamar Corridor Project, segment 1, US 290 to Montclair Street. This volume is a street and utility improvement project that will help alleviate the traffic issues along South Lamar. I am the city project manager for that project. The consultant for this volume is Greg Calkins with BGE. And the sponsors include Transportation Public Works, Watershed Protection, and Austin Water. And then volume 2, towards the end of that plan set, you will see that overlaps in the same LOC, which is why we've combined the projects for this bid, is labeled South Lamar Corridor Project C2-003 Water and Wastewater Improvement Segment 1. This is a utility project that will help improve water and wastewater infrastructure in the area. I am the city project manager for that project as well. The consultant for this volume is Sharif Mabrouk with HDR, and the sponsors with this volume is Austin Water. And now Greg Calkins and Sharif Mabrouk will be taking some time to kind of dive into those volumes with a little bit more project information. Next slide, please.
Good morning. I'm Greg Hawkins, design consultant with BGE. I'm going to give a brief overview on the volume 1. Next slide, please. So as Jennifer mentioned, the limits of this project go from US 290 up to Montclair Street. It's a little bit less than a mile and a half. Next slide, please. So here are just a few project-specific considerations to keep in mind. We have a storm line, a wastewater line, and a water line that extend past the roadway limits and tie into existing infrastructure. Pedestrian and bike traffic access must be maintained at all times. We're proposing a 3-inch mill and overlay, but we have identified some areas that will need full depth pavement repairs. So those are shown in the plans. We will be improving and impacting existing bus stops, so ongoing CapMetro coordination will need to occur. We'll need to coordinate shutouts with the city inspector and submit shutout plans for the waterline tie-ins, and large waterline shutouts are restricted from November to March. Next slide, please.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Sharif Mabrouk, design consultant with HDR, and I'll be talking about volume 2. Next slide, please. The project extents for volume 2 are a little bit shorter than what Greg was just showing. We are north of Panther Trail all the way to the south of West Forest Drive. Next slide, please. Some considerations to keep in mind. Take a look at the construction sequencing plan that's included in the drawings. We're looking to have the wastewater line construction start on the south side going north. It is mostly wastewater line improvements. So a bypass pumping plan is something that we would want to see, and we make sure that it's something that aligns with the construction sequence and the traffic control plan that are included in the design set. Another thing to keep in mind are the locations of the cleanouts, and the service line locations are things that need to be field verified. And then finally, consistent with what Greg said for volume 1, we would want to maintain driveway access at all times. Next slide, please.
Okay, I'll be continuing with just some kind of project overview and notes that apply to both volumes. So next slide, please. So some important project reminders are that driveway access is to be maintained at all times. Taking a look at the traffic control plans, make sure you note that they are starting with signal installations for the purpose of pedestrian movement. Pay attention to the CLSM backfill. Pay attention to details within the plans showing the fitness of use. Private lateral installations are being paid through an allowance, and an allowance is included for contaminated soil and groundwater. Next slide, please. The contract time for this project is estimated for substantial completion to be 1,044 calendar days. For final completion, another 90 calendar days. The liquidated damages for substantial completion is $1,800 per calendar day. And for final completion is $540 per calendar day. Next slide, please. This is the rest break ordinance. Any construction worker performing construction activity at a construction site is entitled to a rest break of not less than 10 minutes for every 4 hours worked. No employee may be required to work more than 3.5 hours without a rest break. A sign describing the requirements outlined in paragraph 6.11.6 of section 00700 must be posted in a conspicuous place at each job site. Next slide, please. Professional services subcontracting. If a solicitation requires professional services, the contractor performing on a city contract must procure those services in the same manner as the city, in compliance with Texas Government Code 2254.004. Professional services include architectural, engineering, and land surveying. Contractors must follow a qualifications-based selection process, not competitive bidding. QBS process overview, qualifications first, select the most qualified provider based on competence and experience, not price. Negotiate fairly. After selection, negotiate a fair and reasonable price. If no agreement, in negotiations and repeat the process with the next most qualified provider. Next slide, please.
Hello, my name is Ruby Kellogg. I'll be the Business Development Counselor with Austin Small Minority Business Resource Department. Next slide, please. So respondents are compliant by 1, meeting the goal, the solicitation goal, or 2, meeting the good faith efforts requirements. Goals have been assigned to this solicitation. They are African American goal is 1.72%, Hispanic is 5.07%, combined Asian Native American goal is 0.54%. The WBE goal is 1.48%. This section will be pre-filled for you. And we'll go on to talk about the MBE WBE compliance plan. Next slide, please. This is section 2. This is where the firm bidding as prime will put their company information. Please note that there is a difference between being registered and being certified with the city of Boston. If you're not sure of the difference, please feel free to contact me to explain, because the knowledge of the difference is crucial to properly completing the compliance plan. Also note that only the City of Austin MBE WBE certification will count towards the goals. Other certifications such as State Hub certification will not count. If the company bidding as prime is certified with the City of Austin, their self-performed work can be counted towards the goal participation goals as well. Next slide, please. Section 3 of the compliance plan, this is where you will show the percentages of the contract that will be awarded to certified firms to meet or exceed the goals. Please make sure the information put in the summary section is correct. It's the correct sum of the breakdown of the information in sections 4 through 7 of the compliance plan. Also note that the percentages listed in this section must total 100%. If the respondent is unable to meet the goals assigned to this project to continue to be considered for this contract, you must document good faith efforts. We'll review the good faith effort process shortly. The base bid amount is the total amount of your bid, and this is the number that you should use to calculate your minority participation percentages. Next slide, please. Section 4 is disclosure of certified subs. This is where you will show how you plan to achieve the goals listed in the summary section. Also, firms that are duly certified, meaning they are certified as more than one type of minority status, can be counted as one or the other throughout the entirety of the compliance plan, just not both. So, for example, a firm owned by an African American woman can be duly certified as both MBE, African American, and WBE as a woman, but can only be utilized to fulfill the goal of one or the other. If you're not clear on the dual certification rule, please contact me to further explain, because not following this rule can make your firm's compliance plan non-compliant. Next slide, please. Section 5 is disclosure of non-certified subcontractors. This is where you will list information regarding the non-certified firms that you plan to use on this project. Next slide, please. Disclosure of second-tier subs. We refer to the companies that your subs hire to help complete their portion of the project as second-tier subs. This section is where you will list the second-tier sub company information. Please note that the dual certification rule applies to second-tier subs as well. Next slide, please. Section 7 is disclosure of primary and alternative trucking subs. If you are utilizing trucking or hauling services, this section must be complete and only list commodity codes that you will be utilizing the firm for on this project. You can list the haulers, in both this section and on section 4 and 5 to ensure proper counting of their participation. And also feel free to review the MBE WBE ordinances. This is section 2-9A, part 20, to gain more understanding of how ASMBR counts minority participation. Next slide, please. Section 8 is the compliance plan checklist. This is part of the compliance plan. This part of the compliance plan is also referred to as the good faith efforts checklist. MBE WBE ordinances section 2-9A part 21E requires the responder to meet all the goals or provide proof of good faith efforts to do so. If you meet all goals, you'll simply select yes at the top of the page. Then you do not have to complete the rest of this section, but please double check your calculations for accuracy. If you're not able to meet all the goals, you select no at the top of the page. Then continue filling out the rest of this section and attach a good faith effort documentation confirming the following. Next slide, please. So since this is a good faith efforts program for this City of Austin project, only SMBR will be performing the initial notification to subcontractors. This is step A, listed on the MBE WBE availability list with a significant local business presence, also known as SLBP area. ASMBR will perform step 1, which is notifying certified firms on that list not less than 10 business days prior to bid date using 2 separate reasonable and verifiable methods, which is fax, email, mail, or phone. Prime bidder does not have to perform this step. The prime bidder will be responsible for performing and documenting all remaining good faith effort steps, which is B through G, to include negotiating with any interested subcontractor. In order to submit a bid as a prime contractor on this project, the bidder must submit the following information to the contract compliance representative from capital contracting office no later than 7 business days after this pre-bid date. Please include the following information in regards to that. That would be the bidder's name of contact person representing the prime firm, phone number, and email of a contact person, date and time subcontractors must submit bids to your firm, and the prime firm who do not provide this information may not be allowed to bid on this project. Next slide, please. This is a continuation of the good faith efforts checklist. Your attempt to notify all the subcontractors listed under the ethnicity or gender group that you did not meet the goals for at least 10 business days prior to the bid due date to acceptable means of contact. That part will be taken care of by me. But however, there is also advertisement in local newspaper and on social media. Reach out to minority organizations and the City of Austin Local Trade Association. If you have any questions in regards to the good faith effort steps, you can always feel free to reach out to me in particular or someone from ASMBR. Next slide, please. And these are some of the reminders and tips of just how to complete your compliance plan accurately. Please verify that all vendors listed on the compliance plan are registered with the City of Austin. Confirm that all subcontractor company information listed matches the information on their City of Austin vendor profile. Please list only the commodity codes you are hiring the subs to perform on this project. Not every commodity code that the sub is certified or registered for. Please make sure you understand the minority participation goals set by the City of Austin for this project. Make sure all vendors being used to achieve the minority participation goals are certified, and more specifically are certified for the appropriate commodity codes for this project. Please make sure that the contact person is someone knowledgeable about the compliance plan submitted, as well as available to answer any questions that we might ask for clarification. This is very important because at this stage in the process, the contact person listed is the only person we will reach out to for clarification. Next slide, please. So again, my name is Ruby Kellogg. That's my email address. Please also note that if you're able to CC the SMBR compliance documents at austintexas.gov, that will enable us to respond if I'm out of office. We want to be able to answer your inquiries as quickly as possible. Thank you.
It looks like it's my turn. Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chase Cullen. I'm an occupational health and safety coordinator, and I will be your occupational health and safety coordinator should you be lucky enough to be awarded this contract. Next slide, please. We're going to cover some of the submittal requirements should you be awarded the contract, some things you need to be aware of that will be required of you as a contractor before you enter into a contract with the City of Austin. And first and foremost, let's start with the administrative side, and that begins with the Contractor's Employee Safety Handbook. This is a requirement for any construction contractor. You have to have one of these. We will not be reviewing these or looking it over for errors. We just need to file it for the record to show that we've done our due diligence and made sure that you have one. Once that's filed for the record, we'll send you notice of that. The same thing goes with your non-use of asbestos affidavit. You'll be working with our asbestos abatement department. They'll run you through some paperwork, and at the very end, you will have a signature page with some notarized documents. We'll need those for the record. Once they're filed, we'll send you notice of that as well. Next slide. There are some submittals that we will be reviewing for errors, and we're looking for specific things, starting with your proof of OSHA training. So every employee that you bring onto the job site, either as an employee of yourself or as a subcontractor's employee or a subcontractor's employee, must have completed an OSHA 10 outreach training program in the construction industry, and we must have received proof of that. Following along with that, and we move down to the designated safety representative, this person must be designated in writing. They must have completed an OSHA 30 outreach training course in the construction industry, and this person or these persons, depending on how many you want to designate, must maintain all the proofs of OSHA training on the job site. These are inspectable items from your inspection and project management team. Moving on from there, for excavation, and this applies for all excavations regardless of depth, and I mean that technically starts at about an inch and goes all the way down to a couple thousand feet, I suppose, you must have an excavation safety competent person. And again, this is a designation letter requirement as well as proof of training at the competent person level. This person is it's a hard and fast requirement. They have to be physically present on the job site whenever you have workers inside of an excavation. So please prepare to have one of those personnel available for your project. Onto excavations that meet or exceed 5 feet in depth, the contractor will be required to retain a Texas licensed professional engineer, and that engineer will need to put together an excavation safety system plan signed and sealed along with their proof of insurance and tabulated data showing how the contractor intends to use those protection systems to keep their workers safe while they're in the excavation. I looked over a couple of the photos of the maps. It looks like there's going to be a lot of right-of-way or right-of-way adjacent work here. So just keep in mind that if we do have a right-of-way permit and we're doing work with temporary traffic controls, the contractor will be required to provide a temporary traffic control competent person. This person will need to have completed a state of Texas specific 2-day, 16-hour TxDOT approved course at the competent person level, and they must have completed that course within the past 4 years. And then again, we'll need you to designate them in writing. They'll be responsible for setting up your traffic controls. There's a couple of other submittal requirements, but they generally lean into confined space, crane lifting, jacking, boring, and tunneling. And so if any of those scopes of work end up happening on the project, just keep in mind that there are specific submittal requirements for each of those that will need to be reviewed. And these specifically at the end 6, 7, and 8, these must be reviewed prior to the execution of work. And so these are things that can hold you up. So please keep that in mind. I think that was it. I think the last one might be, oh no, there is one more slide. Next slide. Just as a reminder, a couple of obligatory comments here. The contractor is responsible for and has agreed to, once you're awarded this contract, to only employ orderly and competent employees. And as a reminder, our owner's representatives on the project will be responsible for notifying the contractor of any incompetent, disorderly, abusive, disobedient employees, etc., at which point it will be the contractor's responsibility to remove said worker. We generally don't have that problems, and from the contract pool that we work with, we get almost nothing but extremely high-performing and prestigious contractors and their employees. So looking forward to working with whichever one of you ends up awarded this contract, and that's it for me.
Thank you, Chase. As I said earlier, I am the procurement specialist for this project, and I'll be speaking to you today about some of the bidding requirements. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to sign to use this QR code or the link that's on the sidebar chat to record your presence at this meeting. The attendance sheet will be posted on Austin Finance Online later on today, and it provides your name and the way that subcontractors can get a hold of you. Next slide, please. Please note that you would base your bid solely on written documentation and any addenda that has been issued and not on any verbal communication. This presentation is not a solicitation or a contractual document or an addendum. Next slide. Also, want to remind you that we are currently in a no contacting period, excuse me, no lobbying period, which began on the first day of advertisement, and it will remain in effect until the contract is fully executed. During this no lobbying period, bidders can only communicate with the contacts that are named in the solicitation. Any unauthorized contact with council members or other city staff will subject the bidder to be disqualified under the anti-lobbying ordinance. So if you have any questions, keep in mind that the project manager, Jennifer Newell, is the point of contact for the technical portion of this contract. I am the authorized point of contact for contract compliance and bidding requirements. And Ruby Villanueva Kellogg with Austin SMBR is the main point of contact for the MBE WBE portion of this project. But if Ruby is not available, it is okay for you to speak to anyone else in her office. And if you're not sure who needs to respond to your question, you can just email me and I'll direct your question to the appropriate person. Next slide. The bids and compliance plans for this project are due prior to 2 p.m. on August 13th, 2026. All bids and compliance plans must be submitted virtually via e-response. There is a link in the bids will be open virtually at 3:00 p.m. And what that means is there's a link for you to view the submitted total bid forms that will give the name of the bidder and the amount that they bid. And also a pencil bid tab will be posted on Austin Finance Online, usually by the end of that business day. And it is important for you to subscribe to this solicitation in Austin Finance Online so that the email address that you provide when registering will be notified when any items or addenda are posted for this solicitation, because it is your responsibility to check the webpage to see if any addenda were posted and then to acknowledge receipt of those addenda on your bid form. Next slide, please. Instructions on how to submit your bid via e-response can be found on the solicitation details page in Austin Finance Online, where you'll find a link that's called e-response instructions, which contains easy to follow step-by-step instructions. Please know that the status of your draft response must show submitted in e-response prior to the due date and time. So we discourage you from waiting until the last minute and taking the chance that it will be late, because it does take time for the draft to be uploaded and accepted as submitted, and responses that are still in draft status by the due date and time, they won't be received by the city. And you should also know that e-response does not accept more than 25 individual files, and it will not accept a single file greater than 40 megabyte. And also want to remind you that prime bidders must be registered to do business with the city and be able to submit a bid via e-response. And if you need any assistance with the response system, you can just email vendor@austintexas.gov. Next slide, please. So everything you need to know to be, to submit a valid bid for this project is in the volume 1. But I did want to just bring a few sections to your attention that might be helpful. Section 100 is where you will find item 7, the submission of bids, that lists the items that that are required to be submitted with your bid, which includes the 5% bid guarantee, the 300U bid form, and the compliance plan. Please remember to complete and sign Section 300U bid form, and also acknowledge receipt of any addenda that may have been posted. Item 9 lists what will cause your bid to be rejected and what may cause your bid to be rejected. And item 10 is where you'll find protest procedures. Item 11 lists the post-bid items that the 3 apparent low bidders will be required to submit within 3 business days of the request, which include the sections 400 experience, 410 safety, 631 and 632 Title VI assurances. And if there's any modifications to the required documents, they will be stated in section 820. Next slide. Section 810 provides the minimum insurance requirements and the permitting requirements, and it provides modifications to the general conditions that are stated in section 700. Next slide. In section 840, you'll learn about the construction training program, which is intended to develop a pool of qualified, ready-to-work construction workers. The training requirement for this project is 15% of the total workforce, or a minimum of 10, whichever is greater. Next slide. You should also be aware that the city has a contractor performance evaluation program to evaluate and report on the performance of the contractor. The scores that are received are averaged over a rolling 5-year period, and they may be used to support future contract award decisions. Next slide. The 10 criteria that are listed here are evaluated throughout the construction period, and the contractor can receive 3 points for each of these criteria: quality and schedule, wage compliance and required job postings, the MBE, WBE procurement programs, invoicing and payments, regulatory compliance and permitting, safety and protection, construction training program, the project and contract management, and then communications, cooperation, and business relations. Next slide. Evaluation for work performed will be submitted at substantial completion and contract closeout. But throughout the construction period, you should be in communication with the PM regarding your performance. So if you have any questions with the score that you receive, you should immediately contact the CPE administrator, because there are specific timelines for rebuttal or appeal. And if you have specific questions about the CPE program or your score, you can submit them directly to the CPE website that's shown here. Next slide. Just a few reminders and tips. Please pay attention to detail and read the specifications. Complete and sign all of the required documents. Provide all the requested information. Make sure that the name of the bidder matches the legal name as registered with the City of Austin. And remember to check for and acknowledge receipt of any addenda. Submit the bid and compliance plan prior to 2 p.m. And also contact Austin SMBR for any compliance plan questions that you might have. And this is really important because if your compliance plan is not deemed, is not approved, then we can't consider your bid. And we want to be able to consider every single bid that is submitted. So please don't hesitate if you have any questions at all to call Ruby, or and anybody in her staff can also ask the question if she's not there. Just want to emphasize, don't hesitate at all to call if you have any kind of a question. Next slide, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Stan, and I will be the wage rep for this project. Next slide, please. So section 00830 of the contract requires workers on city projects to be paid no less than wage rates published by the Department of Labor or the 2205 minimum wage required by City of Austin ordinance number. I'm not going to read the number, but there it is right there. Plus fringe benefits when required. Any required fringes benefits can be met using any combination of cash in the form of additional wages and or non-cash bona fide fringe benefits. This is a heavy highway project. No workers shall be paid less than the minimum wage rates for the work they perform. Employers are responsible for paying the total wage rate specified in the solicitation. All workers working over 40 hours a week on a project must be paid time and a half for overtime hours worked on their current base pay. Independent contractors 1099 are not allowed under city contracts. All contractors must be registered with the city and in the compliance plan with SMBR. There are no helper classifications. Only DOL approved apprentices are allowed to be paid less than journeyman wages, but not less than 2205. Next slide, please. Wage compliant postings must be displayed in a prominent location in English and Spanish. Employee certifications and payroll deduction authorizations are collected for all prime and subcontractor employees before work begins. Submit DOL approved apprenticeship enrollment, year completed, and the pay scale they're currently in. Certified payroll should be kept up to date and retained up to 3 years after substantial completion. Independent contractors, again, 1099 are not allowed under city contracts. To verify wage compliance, site visits, interviews with workers will be conducted at random throughout substantial completion. Audits may be conducted at random. If selected for a random audit, certified payrolls, employee certifications, and other requested documents are to be submitted within 2 working days. Wage theft training course must be taken within 30 days of signed contract and good for 2 years. And the wage theft representative is Sean Forkner. Next slide, please. I think that's it for me, but not sure. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabe. This concludes the capital procurement portion of the agenda. If you have any questions, please submit them on the side chat bar. For future questions after today, you can just submit them to the authorized point of contacts or submit them to my email. I don't see any questions that have been submitted throughout the meeting. The deadline for questions to be asked is, since it was issued July 6th and due August 13th, the deadline to submit questions is 7 working days before the bid opening. So right now, that would be 5 p.m. Monday, August 3 would be the deadline to submit any questions. I have a question that says if we have an anticipated notice to proceed date. Jennifer?
Yes, the notice to proceed date will depend on, the bid opening going to schedule, and getting the contract negotiated. But if everything goes smoothly and quickly, then we would anticipate starting by the winter of this year. But we don't have the exact date until we have a contract.
Thank you. So as a reminder, The bidder is instructed to base his bid solely on the written information furnished with the original documents and any addenda issued. The bidder must not rely on verbal information. Any verbal communication will not be binding on the owner. Or please refer to Project Manual Section 100 Instructions to Bidders 1.9 Preparation of Bid, which states prospective bidders desiring further information or interpretation of the project manual or drawings must make a request for such information to the owner addressed to one of the authorized contact persons listed in Section 20 no later than 7 working days before bid opening, which is 5 p.m. Monday, August 3rd at this time. Interpretation of the project manual or drawings will be made by addendum only and obtained through the city's vendor connection website. So we thank you for doing business with the city, and good luck with your bid. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you, Sophie.